Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by James and Callum in the studio. How you going, boys?
Not bad.
All right, we had a big one last week, kicking it back this week, just discussing what we've been watching lasely. I guess. Look, I'll start because I've seen some. Oh, go on, James.
Just really quickly, because we revisited Deathstalker a few weeks, couple months ago,
yes.
and we were talking about the comic book Kickstarter, and most of our listeners probably don't care, but they're also making a movie now, a new reboot movie. So
something we wished upon a very long time ago on the old show. We wished to the universe.
Yeah, but I think it's obviously lower budget indie movie, but it's directed by Stephen Kostansky, who did The Void and Psycho Goreman, which are awesome kind of low budget horror movies.
Good at utilizing a smaller budget with
practical effects and gore and like creatures and stuff. So I think it's going to be really a lot of fun. So I'm really excited about it. And they started a Kickstarter for it. The movie's being made.
Has it been funded yet? I imagine it must have been.
No, not the Kickstarter. I think the movie is being made regardless, but the Kickstarter is for
augment the budget.
To augment, so they can have more creatures, more monster effects, more makeup effects.
I don't want it to look too good though, so don't earn too much money.
No.
There has to be foam swords, otherwise I'm disappointed already.
Yeah.
No real...
You guys should watch Psycho Goreman, it's hilarious. And, all the aliens and I think it'll be... something in that vein of like the old rubbery kind of. If anyone listening has any interest like we do with Deathstalker, I just thought I'd give it a shout out and go to the Deathstalker movie.
We'll post it again on the socials.
Yeah, the Kickstarter, and chip in if you can.
If Stephen Kostansky's listening, if you do get to make this wonderful film, can you please reuse the Pigman footage?
Oh yes, we should tweet it if he's got a Twitter or whatever. We should
just
tweet
please reuse that footage in some capacity.
Look, I'm sure he knows
the classic.
I also want the start. They reuse the start footage as well sometimes.
He seems like a guy who would know. But if he doesn't know, like if we tweeted at him, he would probably be like, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
Yeah, we'll tweet it. We'll see how.
Or he makes his own new version of Pigman.
Or I mean, look, if someone wants to give him 30 grand and become a producer on the movie, just ask him to make it happen. In case we got any listeners with too much cash.
If it's got too much cash, send it our way. The Tuesday Review fund.
Yeah, so we'll definitely put out some information on this Kickstarter in the socials.
I just thought because it's part of the Tuesday Review lore, and we revisited it sort of recently, I was like, we have to shout out.
We need to find some Deathstalker audio for our soundboard too.
Oh yeah. That's a good idea.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right. So before I quickly start, our listeners are lucky that we're still on Facebook and Meta platforms, because I almost got us banned thanks to what I assume is like an automatic process.
Seems like it, yeah.
Friend of the show, Ross, wanted us to watch Grease 2, and I put a GIF in.
Bugs Bunny saying
no. It's a common one around the internet.
Yeah,
we've all seen it.
I wanted to do I couldn't get the GIFs working properly. There was one that says John Travolta going, ha, 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 don't make me laugh. And that would have been good. That was appropriate, but I couldn't get it to work. It was a static image.
Okay.
And then I put the Bugs Bunny in there going, no, because why would I watch
Everyone
Grease
knows
2?
Grease 2 is terrible, yeah.
And we instantly got our account flagged for review.
Yeah.
Because apparently it was some... Look, it was automatic. It was flagged for something terrible. It was flagged for, adult sexual exploitation. So I don't know how these sort of processes work, but obviously it's not. It's Bugs Bunny.
The algorithm detected it.
Yeah, the algorithm detected something nasty and decided that we're a risk to the public.
Yeah, we are,
but not for that.
Well, not for those reasons.
So luckily we got it overturned, and we're still on we're still on the Meta platforms.
Yeah, we were confused.
We
were confused because it's like, it's just a stupid Bugs Bunny saying no, but there must have been something.
Initially, I was like, "What did I post?"
Yeah, and I was like, "Nathan, what did you do?"
So that was funny. Just something behind the scenes for listeners to have a giggle at if they see that post on Facebook.
Yeah,
please like it.
Yeah,
please report
it. make it our biggest post ever.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny saying no.
And then we get banned again. Um, yes. So we almost got
speaking of Bugs Bunny, sort of tangentially, hashtag release Acme versus Coyote.
Apparently, it's really good.
Yeah, but you know what's good though? Shareholders.
Is this tax write-offs? Is this another HBO kind of Warner Brothers production? Is it?
Yeah, it's that's
the same
idiot
people making
Zaslav.
It's that idiot Zaslav just like being like, oh no, we need the tax write-off, and like everyone in the industry is just like, this is a bad idea. This is bad.
They tried to sell it right first. They tried to sell it to Netflix apparently, and
apparently other studios offered to buy it, and they wanted either. I don't think they. I think
their offer was so high that it was like
something like that, or they refused to counter offer when someone offered, and like they don't.
We've talked about it before. It should be against the law to create something with the purpose of, or I should say,
well, they didn't do it with the purpose of, but
but I guarantee you there was some guy up there who greenlit it, being like, yeah, we'll see if it comes out or not. You know what I mean?
No, I think it was probably a decision made before.
All right, you boys know one of our favorite movies is Fanboys.
Correct.
I mean, your favorite, yeah.
we need to go on a journey. Right? We need to go and
steal Cody.
Well, if
that'd be a funny movie in and of itself. Like to steal a movie that's been.
I've heard it's like this. We talked about this when this started happening on HBO Max and whatever. But like, it's not only that they're not releasing it. It's like they're trying to actively delete it from everywhere they can, so that it's never even leaked. And a lot of the people who worked on the movie don't even have copies of it to quote unquote leak if they were so inclined. So yeah, it's just a wholesale destruction of art because they might get a few mil tax breaks so that they can sell off all the pieces of HBO eventually. Now that the Discovery merger
it's such a weird system. Those loopholes should be closed.
This is what, capitalism is awful and bad for movies and bad for television and bad for human beings.
Anyway, all right. So we'll start with some newer films that both me and James have watched. So we both watched the new Adam Sandler movie Spaceman. With the Sandman going into space.
Spaceman, Sandman in space.
Yes. So essentially, there's a cloud. No one knows what it is. It's off for Jupiter.
It's set in like a retro futuristic future.
It's kind of. I guess it's in a world where I guess the USSR won the kind of Cold War, and so like the dominant cultures, or the successful cultures, like they have like Czech Connect, and it's like kind of
I don't know
if retro advanced, but it's through an Eastern European lens.
Maybe I mean it's based on a Czech novel. And they didn't change it for the movie. So in the movie, all the characters are Czech, including Adam Sandler. They're not really doing accents or anything, but it's like all the it's got that old Soviet kind of, but it's set in the future. Yeah, and there's this...
That's like a cloud.
Cosmic cloud somewhere out near Jupiter or something. And they send Adam Sandler's character, who's an astronaut...
to go investigate.
Out on his own, like as a solo mission. And obviously it's just about his loneliness... And he misses his wife, and his wife is sort of feeling detached.
She's very pregnant.
Yeah, and alone. And then it would be good if that's all we knew, and then you watch the movie and you get surprised. But the trailer and the synopsis tell you kind of what happens. Is he wakes up on the spaceship one day, and there's a giant talking spider.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And then it's kind of like, is he crazy? Is it a real alien spider? So it's an interesting concept. I
was looking forward to this movie for a long time when I heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are like unapologetic, unconditional Adam Sandler.
Yeah, but especially for dramatic roles.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is this is a quote-unquote real Adam Sandler movie where it's not just him and his friends go to Hawaii and make a dumb movie. It's not just Grown Ups 4 or whatever. This is like, okay, they wanted to make a actual real movie and Adam Sandler wanted to do an actual performance.
The one thing I dislike, I read about this film that they asked Adam Sandler not to go too crazy and want him to be a restrained role, but I feel like they made him a little bit too restrained.
Yeah.
Because like the whole concept of he's lonely, he's not sure if he's going insane, he needs to be a little bit
more
higher
manic.
strung, a little bit more manic, because you would be. Instead, he's just kind of like, unless he's on downers for the whole movie, which he might be in space. I don't know.
Well, that should have been part of the plot then, which is you never see that. But
you don't see that. So I'm like, you'd think he would have a more exaggerated performance only because of the stress he's under.
Well, I can understand he's like depressed spaceman, but I'm like, at the end of the day, the movie, like his performance wasn't great. Wasn't awful, but wasn't great.
It was just very
and the movie wasn't anything special.
I think the book is probably better. And I
assume whenever they cut out a lot.
Whenever you have like a meditative film, right? A film about like a guy's loneliness and his inner thoughts and all that kind of stuff and his mental health. It doesn't always translate as well to a movie from a book.
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about Dune. It's a similar thing.
Yeah, a lot of it's internal monologue.
All the interior life of a character is always diminished on the translation to screen.
And I think that's where this movie falls apart quite a lot.
I
haven't read the book, but I assume there was probably some cut out that was kind of like...
Well, that's what I was saying. I haven't read it either, but I assume there was a lot cut out, and also in the translation from Czech to English, already you probably lose a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that you can't, read it in English or make a movie out of it in English, but I feel like there's already a slight loss there, and then to the movie, I assume they just cut out a whole bunch of important stuff. But also, the movie itself, I didn't think... Like, I like the retro-futuristic production design of, like, the spaceship and the technology. But I thought cinematographically it didn't look that great. I didn't think it... And directing-wise, it was just very flat.
Yeah.
And it was weird because I looked up the director, and he's the guy who directed all the Chernobyl episodes for HBO, which is an amazing, amazing miniseries. And this just felt kind of flat and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that, and I agree. The other I'll rattle off some stuff really quick. I rewatched Code 8 on Netflix because the sequel.
I never saw that.
I enjoyed the first one. It's very kind of made for streaming kind of premise.
It's one of those weird ones where it's like one of those made for streaming movies that didn't seem to be super like well known or do super well, but I guess enough people watched it that they decided to make another one all these years later.
And I guess because what's his name?
Stephen
Amell.
Amell, yeah.
And I'm like, he's behind it. Maybe he was I want to make.
I guess it's like personal. He's like, I want to get this made.
And he's a big enough name that Netflix is probably like, all right.
Maybe, yeah.
It's especially if it's one movie and it's not a whole series.
Well, they released the sequel recently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, it's probably easier to greenlight one sequel than it is to be like, okay, we'll give you 10 1-hour-long episodes or something.
Yeah, but still, to get any movie greenlit, even a low-budget one, is pretty impressive. And considering when Code 8, the first one, came out, it was like, there was a little bit of buzz, but not really. Like, I can guarantee you, most people listening have never heard of Code 8.
No,
I never even bothered watching it. I saw the thing. I think I saw the trailer when it first came out years ago.
It was interesting because it's not bad. I gave it on my Letterboxd review. I gave it 3.5 stars.
Yeah,
which for streaming.
You have notoriously questionable,
I have a low bar,
bad taste, but
it's good. It was an interesting time in Netflix where they weren't releasing quite as much as quickly, and I guess there was a little bit more production.
That was back before Netflix got real.
Yeah, so there was a little bit, I guess, more effort put into production on some of their originals back then. So it looks nice. Like, this could have come out at theaters. It had that kind of budget.
Okay.
And it was pretty decent for a standard kind of popcorn movie, in quotes. It's superheroes against the cops, basically. It's like, well, okay. You know what you're getting kind of in for.
Yeah.
The sequel is much the same. The CG is a bit worse.
And as is tradition at this point.
As is tradition.
Yeah.
And the... it's not as good as the first. It's still a good time, but basically it's the first one, but everything's a bit worse. And it's
did the story really require a sequel? Like, is there such an interesting world that...
Not really.
Yeah, see?
They didn't have to make a sequel.
Yeah.
What else have I got? Dark Harvest is another new release I watched really quickly. That's on Amazon Prime. It's just like a gory slasher.
I saw that on your thing. I'm like, that's a very Nathan pick as well.
It's part The Purge, part Halloween Kills. Straight streaming horror movie. You can see all the twists coming a mile away, but it's entertaining.
Is it 2023 or 2024?
Late 2023.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not bad for a fun time, if you want to see like
straight to streaming horror.
Yeah, if you want to see Sawtooth Jack, who's like the kind of scarecrow who like kills the village boys as they have to have a purge night on Halloween night every year.
That sounds kind of cool.
The premise is really cool. It's based off a book. Okay. And there's a lot I feel like there's a lot they leave out and they kind of just mention.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. But the whole premise is basically like the town is, I guess, is from what I can infer, the town is blessed by kind of the Sawtooth Jack kind of god or whatever he kind of revolves around. They get good crops, they have good lives, but then once a year,
have to sacrifice,
once a year, all the boys have to try and hunt down Sawtooth Jack while he tries to get to the church. And if he gets to the church, the whole town dies.
That sounds kind of fun for a horror movie.
It is fun. No, the movie's very fun.
Yeah.
But it's straight to streaming.
Execution.
The execution could be better, but the premise is enough alone to keep you invested. And it's gory. When it's gory, it's nice. Like
practical.
Some practical. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of got a few stakes, some interesting lore behind it. And they left too much out.
Yeah.
Because like there's this whole thing about like the Harvesters Guild knows all the secrets and they kind of control the town, but like they mention it once and never talk about it.
Is
again.
it set in present day or is it?
No, it's set in like the early 60s.
Okay.
So it's really interesting. It's got a retro vibe to it too, kind of like greases and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
black leather jackets and like the hair and everything. That's pretty cool. The only other interesting movie I've got is Ricky Stanicky for a new release. Which was better than I thought. It's better than it should be.
Well, it's funny you say that because this movie's been in development hell for 15 to 20 years, I feel like. Originally, I think Jim Carrey was supposed to be in it, and I feel like that version could have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like years and years ago. And then it just kept going through different versions. Someone else was attached. I can't remember who. And then it just one day is like, oh, it's coming out on Amazon. And everyone was like, oh, okay. And now it's John Cena. And John Cena was like Zac Efron and John Cena was like the...
All right, some of the notable cast in this movie is Zac Efron, Andrew Santino, John Cena, William H. Macy. I'm like, that's a good cast.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything anymore, especially with streaming movies.
No, but the only actor who really tries, or seemingly tries in this movie is John Cena.
Well, I've heard he's good in it, yeah.
He carries the movie on his
gigantic shoulders, yeah.
And he's very funny. And it was shot in Melbourne, shot in a local movie.
Yeah, that's cool.
All the comedy club kind of shots in this movie are shot in the Comics Lounge here in North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Which is very dear to us.
And we were there not too long ago, yeah.
So it is a good movie, and he does, funnily enough, we rag on John Cena for being the worst of some, or he's not a bad actor, but he's kind of wooden.
Yeah.
He's not the worst
He's
wrestling
funny,
actor.
He's good comedian.
He's a good comedy actor.
It's funny, yeah.
And he carries this movie on his gigantic shoulders. It's fun.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those movies I didn't watch because I feel like I would watch it once and be like, hey, that's pretty good, and then never watch it again.
Oh, it's definitely that kind of film.
If you look at my letterbox, like there's a lot of like 2.5, where I'm watching a lot of these movies that it's like I didn't dislike, but I'm like, I'm never going to watch that again.
No. Before I shut up and move on to someone else, I'll just mention Contagion as well. I got the 4K disc early.
Oh, nice.
I pre-ordered it. It doesn't come out here, I believe, at least until it doesn't release at JB, I believe, until the 16th. Yeah,
I don't know. I ordered the UK or American edition. I can't remember.
So I watched that, and I have complicated thoughts. I like this movie. The movie itself is great.
Yeah.
My problem with it is the disc. It's a reference quality picture.
Yeah.
But the aspect ratio has changed.
What?
Yes.
It's all full frame.
So it should be in widescreen, but it's full frame. So I'll finally...
I'll have to look it up later. Like, are you serious? Did they screw it up?
No. It's all full frame. I saw it.
All right. So it's a lovely reference quality HEVC H.265 encode. But the problem is it's in 1.85.
Yeah, which is like 16 by 9 almost, sort of.
But the aspect ratio should be in is 1.78 or something like that.
It's listed as 1.78 on...
yeah, the Blu-ray is, not the 4K.
No, the 4K on Blu-ray.com, the US edition. But 178 is... that's not letterboxed. That's...
It's full frame.
Yeah, like 178 and 185 aren't that different.
Okay.
Not as much as...
Yeah.
Oh, it says original aspect ratio is 185.
Maybe it is. So I don't know.
The aspect ratio on the disc is 178. So
okay.
It's maybe a little bit more full.
Yeah. It wasn't enough that
it looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous, but I guess
it didn't detract from the movie. But
I'm just looking up a review of it now.
But just knowing that the aspect ratio is different from the original theatrical release does shit me a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a mistake or...
And well, apparently there's been no official comment about it.
Yeah, I can't see anything...
They were just like, let's get a bit wild with it.
Yeah, I know. But the oh man, I love that movie, and the picture quality is amazing.
As long as there's not too much missing from
I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Until I looked up a review.
Yeah,
and then I was like, I should have read that after I'd finished the movie and was happy about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to read the review now. I can't see anything that they've really highlighted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just something interesting, something a bit different. It's
just something different, but the picture quality is insane. Like, it is probably... It's weird, too, because it's a digital film.
Mm.
And I assume it would have been shot at 2K, but I don't know, maybe it was shot at 4K.
Well, it was 2011, I think, so it was a while ago.
Yeah, but... I don't know what magic they did.
It's also it's because we talked about it before. It's like, we always love to kiss films, but digital is like an image is an image. Cinematography. If you've got good people, doing lighting and color grading and shooting it, cinematography. Like Roger Deakins said, he's like, I don't care, film digital. It's just as long as the image is good and I can shoot it. A Contagion's an example of that.
But for the nerds out there, it's probably one of the best looking discs you can buy.
Nice.
Released recently.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah, and it looks so good.
I haven't watched it since the pandemic. I remember when the pandemic started and we were let's do a Outbreak and Contagion double feature review. Haha, wouldn't that be fun? And then we went into lockdown and we were like, everything sucks.
But it's honestly, I had those COVID tinted glasses when I'm watching the movie. I'm just like, memories.
Yeah, but I've loved that movie. And Outbreak, I love disease. I think I've talked about it before. I love disease thrillers.
Yeah, well, because I said Outbreak the whole movie is slow
Andromeda
discovery.
Strain.
The whole movie, so it's great. It's like the puzzling
sciencey.
out. It's like puzzling out the kind of answer and
and the sort of bureaucracy and the organizational side of it.
And it's just interesting rewatching this movie because it's like how much they got right. You know what I mean? About how kind of what happens.
It's also interesting because you got like Jude Law's character who's like the online commentator who's like...
Again, they got it right.
Which again, this is like 2011 before like a lot of like social media was really...
Yeah, again, they got all the conspiracy nuts right with, the rabid fan base and all that.
The only thing they got wrong is like the kind of pretty effective response that the government did end up having.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas,
they got through the vaccine pretty quick.
Yeah, and even though they fumbled a bit at the end, it was like, okay, everyone gets a vaccine, yay! In real life, it was like 2 years of protests and
like
dumb
every
people.
Now and again with this movie, you think, is it a bit kind of dramatic? And I'm like, the amount of people dead and stuff. They say it's like 25 million, but I'm like, COVID might have come close to that. Because in the poorer countries, like, say, China, or not necessarily poorer, but in the areas where, I guess, there was more densely populated before the vaccine, it's like they had some issues.
Well, technically, we still don't know if China's numbers are accurate.
That's true.
But also, like, the...
Because, like, England had problems, England had a high mortality rate.
Yeah.
India did, China
Italy,
did.
I think.
Italy did.
But, the fictional virus in Contagion was, I think, even more deadly than COVID was.
Yeah.
COVID was deadly, but it wasn't like the one in Contagion.
Well, I think the virus in Contagion had like a 20 to 30% mortality rate.
Mm.
And COVID had what was it, like a 2% or something?
I don't know.
What it was. Don't quote us on that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But it was an interesting movie to rewatch.
It's a good movie, even if
And the cast is stacked.
Oh man, Soderbergh movies always have
even just for like tiny little bit parts. They'll be like, "That's a big actor." But there's a big actor.
Because Soderbergh's an interesting director. He just makes movies. He's like, there's not a real. A lot of auteur directors, you can see it's their movie, and he just like makes movies. He's like, I'm just making weird, cool movies, and all the celebrities like, yeah, we'll do it. We don't care, even if it's a small part. And not all of his movies work, but Contagion's one of them where I'm like 10 out of 10, best movie. I love it.
I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd because of the disc issue, but I might have to revise that if it's not a big deal.
No, I think for me, I don't. You can rate however you want,
but it would have been 5 stars.
But if you're rating the movie, 5 stars. Like I wouldn't.
Rating
and
Letterboxd
isn't for reviewing discs.
No. Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
That's fair.
Rate it.
Maybe I'm being overly harsh on the film because I don't like the disc.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, also because Letterboxd isn't really a platform review. Like it's like, oh, Apple TV Plus has a good transfer, and Amazon Prime doesn't. You know,
it is
like,
a 5-star.
No,
film.
is the movie good or not? We don't care about the. Well, I care, but you know, that's a different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 5 stars.
Yeah,
because you're right. You're right. I fixed it. Because you're right. I'm reviewing the disc. I should be reviewing the film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can talk about the disc in the review, but to rate it based on the. But anyway, yeah, people can do it though. I don't know.
All right. I reckon that's all I've got for this week. I've finished prattling on.
All right.
You got anything interesting, Callum James is about to start a fight.
No. I got.
Callum. Yeah, because Callum's been.
I'm gonna give. I'll just quick fire some because I got some. I've watched some interesting movies lately. I'm gonna go back just a little bit. I want to mention Irrational Man by Woody Allen.
Did we talk about that?
I can't remember, but it's pretty good. I didn't mind it. Not bad.
Okay. Yeah. I remember we talked about off air. I can't remember if we talked about it on the show.
And then I also watched You Will Meet a Tall Dark Stranger by Woody Allen.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one.
This is the first Woody Allen movie I don't like.
Okay.
That I've seen. And now I like Woody Allen. Like I like his movies. You know what I mean? Like this movie I found to be not like usually he doesn't always do good lawful protagonists, if you know what I mean. Like he does sometimes have protagonists which are fall into shades of grey.
Yeah.
But they usually have a kind of like a witty personality or something driving them which still keeps you engaged with the overall plot. I didn't get that in this one. I feel like the protagonist is just kind of a douche and there's no redeeming feature of that.
Could that be the point?
No, I mean, you're supposed to kind of... It's like one long, unfunny episode of Arrested Development.
Okay.
And, you know, like I said, like, I will laugh at Woody's worst jokes.
Yeah.
But this fell flat for me because it's just kind of like the plot's kind of very thin. It's not very funny. The characters aren't very witty. The whole movie just falls flat. I'm sorry, Woody. I watched Hell or High Water, which I really enjoyed.
That's a great movie, yeah.
Very tense, very well acted, great action cinematography, very well shot. Also, I just love American casinos. I don't know why.
American casinos?
Yeah. Just when they're in films. I love watching Americans gamble, and it's just a weird thing.
No, it's cool to see it in movies. I don't know.
I rewatched Hail Caesar for the first time since seeing it in the movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time, yeah.
I enjoyed it more rewatching it than I did in the cinema. I don't know whether that's because I'm a different person now or whatever. George Clooney slaps. Love the man.
Yeah. I remember loving that movie, but yeah, it's...
I watched a horror movie called Don't Knock Twice, which I gave 2.5 stars because I'll just read out my review. When it's good, it's pretty good. And when it's bad, it's awful. Jump scares and typical horror cliches bog it down.
Yeah. What year did that come out?
That came out in 2016.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, wasn't thrilled about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of those...
Rewatched Silent Hill and I gave it 3.5 stars. Because it's not perfect. It does suffer the usual horror problems, but it does manage to capture the essence of the franchise, which is something that not all video game adaptations can do.
I haven't seen it in many, many years, but I do remember it not being awful.
Yeah.
But also I was like, yeah, it's just CGI crap and
that's
it's not
the problem.
Great.
That's the plot needs a little bit of work.
Yeah.
But like it captures the essence of it. You know, there's a point where it has video game camera angles. You know how Silent Hill has the fixed camera?
Yeah.
It mimics that in some of the action sequences, which I thought was a great way to pay homage.
Apparently the director of that movie and this... I think he did the sequel as well, which apparently the sequel's awful. Apparently he's doing a new one. So it's weird that, you know, whatever studios are involved were like, let's get that guy from 20 years ago back.
Yeah.
And let's make a new movie.
I mean, it makes sense. They're rebooting the games.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, I understand making a new movie because they always want to cash in on their IP, but to get the same guy who did the other movies, which aren't that well regarded or, you know, it's interesting.
I love
on him, I
when
guess.
Pyramid Head grabs the skin off a person and just throws it at the church walls.
Also,
I was like, nice.
yeah. Also, if you want to be a real nerd about it and be like the lore of the games, it's like Pyramid Head doesn't make sense being in the movie with the characters.
But it
Like,
doesn't matter.
like it's not a great movie, but it's not the worst video game.
It also
movie.
has a great soundtrack, which they reuse
Did they
songs
use
from
it
the games.
because that those games have like the best horror soundtracks ever.
I rewatched Seven, which I
Nice.
hadn't seen in years, and that movie is a movie that launched 1,000 different other directors' careers. You know what I mean? Like someone would be watching that and be like, "Wow."
I was gonna say you should have waited because it's coming out on 4K soon.
He'll rewatch it.
No, he won't because he's like got 6 million other movies.
Yeah, I didn't know that, James. Thanks. Yeah, I watched Double Jeopardy.
Oh, I love that movie.
That just like movies back in the 90s hit different.
Ashley
just
Judd.
hit
Okay,
different.
so I'm a huge Ashley Judd like 90s thriller fan. Like she was in Kiss the Girls with Morgan Freeman, and then she was in Double Jeopardy with Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes, correct.
And then she was in another one. What's it called? After Double Jeopardy, High Crimes with Morgan Freeman. So she had all these really cool like late 90s, early 2000s, like those kind of thrillers.
Oh,
They don't make those anymore.
There's no CG. You know, you're watching it and it's just people running on
Time
screen.
to Kill. She was in
Time to Kill, she was in
Yeah,
that.
like driving
yeah.
cars and stuff, and like
Yeah.
it's so, you know what it is? It's so engaging. You're never bored because
They
something's
used to-
always going on.
This is why, you know, we repeat ourselves on every episode, or I repeat myself every episode for the last 7 or however many years we've been doing, including the old show. And I always say, like, they used to make movies like this that were decent budget, had A-list stars,
and locations.
R-rated locations, and there used to be a whole bunch of them every year, and a lot of them were good. And now they don't make them at all, and if they do, they're straight to streaming.
You know,
or,
you know what the problem is? Everyone expects a massive paycheck.
it's
So
we've talked about the high risk, high return. Yeah.
So like, no one's gonna make a small movie when they're paying their stars $50 million. They're gonna have to make it big so people will go and see it.
Yeah.
Double Jeopardy's kind of dumb in like everyone knows like you can't. Like,
the law aspect. Yeah, I mean, who cares about reality?
And also, like,
though?
you know, she just kind of escapes. No, she doesn't. She gets out on bail, and then like Tommy Lee Jones for some reason has
Helps
a huge
her.
stick up his ass, and he's like, "You're not going anywhere under my watch," and it's kind of like, you know, a little eye rolly. But man, like Tommy Lee Jones is just great at chasing people down.
Oh yeah,
He's the best.
Yeah,
And it's like the fact that they go to New Orleans and that's like a character in
Let's
itself.
say it right. Nolans.
Nolans.
And it's like it has like a flavor to it, and you're like it's interesting.
Yeah, and they're
you
like
know?
filming on location. Yeah,
and it's just
and
also the colors just look so good.
Yeah,
Because I watched it on 4K.
Yeah, like I think we were talking this on air, off air, but you know, because you guys are massive Tom Cruise fans, unconditionally, which I think is a problem. And I'm kind of like, I like him in good movies. He's got a couple good movies, but I'm not always 100% on him. But, you know, I feel like you guys are more fans of him because he's been in the action stint for the last 15 years. But Callum, I
He
think...
does good drama.
No, but that's what I was saying is like, I'm kind of like, oh, Callum, you should get into the, you know, A Few Good Men era kind of drama stuff.
I like Cocktail.
And but I was like, oh, you know, you should watch Risky Business or whatever. But I think you and I were talking. I was like, you know, he's made all these huge movies, and he wants to keep one-upping himself with the stunts, and he's got a death wish apparently or something because, you know, he's crazy. But yeah, it would be nice to see if he could do a drama.
Well, he's going back. He wants to work with auteurs again.
Yeah, well, apparently he's in Inarritu's next film.
Yes.
Yeah, like he wants to branch out a little bit.
The reason I was saying this is because we were talking about 90s thrillers, and The Firm popped up in my head. Have you guys seen The Firm?
Don't remember.
Okay,
Not in a long time.
Because I was like, it's not a great movie, but it's like a simple Tom Cruise lawyer thriller. Law dramas, courtroom dramas,
Yeah.
they used to make all the time.
Which brings us to The Judge.
Oh, there we go, segue.
Which is a movie starring Robert Duvall, Robert Downey Jr., Kendall from Succession. I can't remember the actor's name. I'm sorry.
Jeremy Strong?
That's the one. And Vincent D'Onofrio. And Billy Bob Thornton. So I hadn't seen this
good
movie.
cast.
I'd seen bits and pieces of this movie throughout the years because like Mum likes it and she's had it on and I've been around.
I remember when it came out, but I've never seen it.
But anyway, so I'm watching it, right? And I'm like, wow, this movie's cast is stacked. And then all of a sudden, Billy Bob Thornton's the enemy lawyer. And I was like, oh my God, I nearly fell out of my chair like that Vince McMahon gif.
Matt, if you like Billy Bob as a lawyer, watch Goliath.
Yeah, I know.
Still have to watch it.
Man,
yeah.
like, what a great film. Again, it's like this came out in 2014, but if this movie came out in the 90s with like a 90s era cast, it would have made bank. It's like a legal drama.
Yeah.
And it's, Robert Downey Jr. plays the suave, kind of slightly dirty lawyer so well. And like he just won an Academy Award for Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this film, and I'm like, he gave an Academy Award-winning performance in The Judge.
Well, was he not? I think was he nominated? I think Robert Duvall was.
Yeah, I mean, so they play off each other so well. So the Judge is I'll just read out my review just because it's succinct. A compelling drama about a family undergoing a crisis when the patriarch is arrested for murder. And outstanding performances by Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall make this somber drama shine. And so, like, the emotion that comes out between the two of them is, like, next level. Like, the way they play off each other is, like, masterful. And, like, I'm not just saying this because I'm a simp or whatever. There's something about the man who returns home to a family that doesn't like him to, kind of try and bind everything back together over a personal crisis, just brings the best out of some dramatic actors. I'm like, it's such a great film. And also, like, just the legal aspect, like the objection and the discovery and the watching of evidence and the, how you process the law. It's so fascinating. Such a great film. I really liked it. The kind of drama that I don't really do so much.
I'll allow it, but watch yourself, counselor.
Yeah. And then I watched Gone Baby Gone, which again I've seen.
That's a good movie.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't seen it in full in years. Like, I don't remember it in full.
Hot take: Ben Affleck's only good movie as a director, and one of the reasons it is because he's not in it as an actor.
Casey Affleck was perfect for this.
Because Casey Affleck is a good actor, and his brother is not.
I love the Boston accent so much.
Boston.
Yeah, Boston.
Pahk, Harvard.
Park my car in Harvard, yeah. It's such a tight thriller. It's such an intelligent script. The characters are so strong. I said to Nate, I was kind of joking when I said to you guys, it's like modern day Shakespeare. But like, when you think about Shakespeare, we all think it's like, hoity-toity kind of stuff, but it was kind of like, lowbrow as well. Yeah. I'm like, it's kind of like, it's such an intelligent drama, and it was written by the same guy that, like, the book at least is by the guy who wrote Mystic River as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
So this guy is this perfect, or girl, to be fair, I don't know the gender.
Sexist.
Yeah.
To quote The Office.
Such a genius screenwriter and / author or whatever.
Did they write the screenplay as well?
No, I think maybe he co-wrote it, because I don't know who wrote the book, but Ben Affleck co-wrote the script with someone. So it wouldn't surprise me if he got assistance or whatever. They do that sometimes.
But sometimes the person who wrote the book adapts it for
Anyway, they did such a great job with the dialogue. It's so witty and sharp and fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really good, like, crime drama.
I also I won't spoil it, but I love the ending, that really difficult decision. Yeah. I'm like, that's such a great piece of film noir. Well, it's such a great piece of drama. Because like the decision he makes at the end drives a wedge. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. I feel like I really do not like Ben Affleck as an actor, and I think as a director, Gone Baby Gone is literally his only really good movie. I think The Town is kind of garbage. What's the other movie he did? Yeah, it's just like, I feel like it was his strongest movie. And
are you talking about the one with the airport?
I can't remember.
The embassy.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Argo, yeah.
Argo was okay, I guess. I think his movies would automatically be better if he wasn't in them.
Yeah.
But also, even then, they're not great. I think Gone Baby Gone's the only really good one. He showed more promise with that, and then he's kind of gotten worse and worse.
Good Will Hunting's not bad.
He didn't direct that.
He was in it though, and he wrote the screenplay.
Co-wrote it with Matt Damon. Matt Damon. I don't love that movie as much as everyone else does.
It's pretty good.
It's okay, I guess.
And my final movie, of course, is Cahnage Pahk.
Cahnage Pahk.
This movie would be a lot different if Casey Affleck was in it. So I actually really like this film. So before James tears it all down,
you say your piece and then I'll say mine.
I got this movie at JB, and I think it was like a $6 or $7 movie. And I'm like, oh, it looks interesting. Never heard of it before. I'll pick it up. Why not? So I finally watched it, and
It's like a horror thriller.
Yeah, it's like a thriller kind of
2016, I think.
Yeah, it's like a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
And it's essentially about some people who find themselves in the compound of some crazy man who wants to kill them for sport. Like a kind of like a man is the most dangerous game type style thing.
Yeah, it's like in the desert wilderness area, and he's got this big plot of land, but he's fenced it off, and anyone who gets kind of lost hitchhiking or whatever, he
tries to kill
traps him in there and he tries to kill him. Which is kind of cool.
I really liked it because I think that what the movie was going for was a bare bones kind of just a thriller. Like, what happens if you're getting hunted by a guy? Which is like, it's a fun idea, right? It's like, what if a dude was just trying to hunt someone?
Yeah.
And so that's what Cahnage Pahk basically is. It's like, it's not over the top. It doesn't have a huge budget, but it also doesn't need a huge budget. It's a simple movie about someone trying to survive being hunted by a crazy guy. Or Wyatt?
I think that was his name, yeah.
It's also got Alan Ruck in it. Which is cool.
Connor Roy.
Yeah.
For all the con heads.
That's it for all the con heads out there. Yeah, so it's interesting because it uses a lot of practical. It has some nice gore in it, which seemed practical to my untrained eye. I kind of like the fact that it's limited in location and set. I wasn't huge on the mine sequence because I thought it could have been better lit.
Like that. Yeah.
But overall, I thought it to be a pretty compelling movie. It kept my attention. It wasn't overly scary. It was kind of actiony. It was tense.
It's more of a thriller, yeah.
It was very tense. I think it achieved what it set out to achieve. I don't think it had huge intentions to take the world by storm. Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, like for me, I get what it was trying to do, and I was like, yeah, I'll pay it. So I think I gave it like 4 stars. Yeah, just because I was like, for a 90-minute movie, you stick it on. I'm like, bam, it barreled forward. Yeah. Once it established everything, it was like going for it.
Yeah, no, I think should we segue into me?
No, go for it.
So, in the group chat, Catelyn puts Cahnage Pahk goes hard or something. You said something to that effect. And I was like...
Also, the logo sequence is sick.
That was cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when you did that message, didn't you? Yeah. So, I see that message and I'm like, Cahnage Pahk, that sounds familiar. I look it up. I'm like, it's like a low-budget 2016 like horror thriller. I'm like, I think I remember when this movie came out or seeing a trailer or seeing the poster. I'm like, it seems familiar. I think I meant to watch this at some point and just forgot about it. So I'm like, Callum loved it so much, and I saw you gave it 4 stars. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. And yeah, there's that opening with the credits, you know, the title scene, and I'm like, oh yeah, this does go pretty hard. But yeah, I want to start by saying the movie, a lot of the problems come from the low budget. And I think I do really admire the writer-director who made the movie. I assume he made the movie, you know, as best he could, for the time and money he had, which probably wasn't a lot. And so, you know, even though I didn't really like the movie that much, like I still really appreciate that. And I'm like, good on them for making this movie.
Yeah.
And you know, doing what they could, because it's real hard to make a movie, even if you've got $100 million, let alone the little probably that this cost. So yeah, I don't want it to make it sound like, oh, you know, it was crap and they don't know what they're doing. But yeah, I had a lot of problems with it. I think the first part of the movie is trying so hard to be Tarantino.
A little.
That it put me off. And as someone who doesn't like when people criticize movies is like that have like snappy dialogue and criminals and violence and like, oh, they're just trying to be Tarantino. Like usually I feel like that's just dumb people being dumb. But I feel like the start of this movie is too Tarant. Like he's definitely just trying to quote unquote rip that off.
He's trying to be Quentin.
Yeah. And then once they sort of get past that and the kind of human hunter aspect starts, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And there's some cool, you know, creepy visuals and sound effects and stuff. And like Callum was saying, like the concept of like being hunted by a crazy guy. It's like effective, simple, lean horror movie concept. But yeah, again, the budget, like the movie doesn't look very good. Most of the time I was watching it, I was like, oh, you know, they should have shot it this way or they should have done this. And I was like, it felt very flat. and it completely loses steam after a while, and then the whole ending sequence with the tunnels that you were hinting at before, I just got bored, and then it ends, and I was like, okay, like I didn't hate it, but yeah, I just, especially when the killer is introduced in that first scene where she's handcuffed in the car, and Pat Healy, the actor, you know, he's doing a really good job being like the crazy guy with the gun. And I was kind of interested. But then the rest of the movie, like, he puts on a gas mask and he's just kind of walking around, and then you see him a couple of times, and then it ends. And I was like, oh, I wanted more of his crazy performance.
One of the things I like about this film is that he's not a great shot, basically.
Yeah, like
when you think about it, I was like, he's just a crazy man.
Yeah.
He's not an expert sniper.
Yeah.
He's not a very good killer.
No.
He's just a crazy dude.
But that's why I feel like they should have done more for his character, like more moments of him as himself without the gas mask, just kind of shooting from very far away, because you never really see him again after that. And then I was kind of interested, you had Alan Ruck's character, who's the sheriff, and I'm like, this is, you know, not particularly well written or shot or whatever. Or even the acting wasn't great. But then when he's practicing what he's going to say in the car, I was like, oh, this is interesting. But again, they never really, after that, it's just like, and then the movie. And
it's only a 90-minute film. I'm like,
yeah, but I was just like, you could have. You cut out all the Tarantino crap at the start.
That's true.
You know, maybe even start. Yeah. You know, for something you were saying, like it gets going and it goes hard. I feel like they could have even started it like with just her in the car.
I will pay that. They shouldn't have had that all that stuff should have been cut out. It should have just had her driving somewhere.
That would have been she should have just been driving. The tire pops. She goes down an embankment. She crawls out. She's hurt her leg. You know, we've seen it in a million different horror movies, but it effectively sets up what it needs to set up. All the other stuff wasn't important.
I'll pay that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I it could have been a lot better. But yeah, I see why you liked it. But yeah, for me personally, I was just kind of
for $7, mate.
Well, yeah, I mean,
how much I paid for it. Shout out to Mum. I will quickly say this. Shout out to our mum who watched Smile for the first time after avoiding it because she was so scared of it.
Yeah. Did she like it?
Yeah, she did. She liked it.
Okay, good. Because she watched Barbarian and she was scared by it, but she liked it, I think. And then we were trying to convince her to watch Smile, but she was like, no, too scary. I'm like, if she watched Barbarian, I think she could.
On that funny note, while we're talking about movies our parents watched, I was flicking through some movies and Terrifier came on, like on just like going through lists, and I said to my dad, I'm like, "That's a bad one." I'm like, "That's disgusting. It's filth." He's like, "Put it on." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. It is. It's worse than you can imagine it being."
Terrifier 2 is worse, but yeah,
that's your dad's response when it's like, "No, Dad, this is really spicy. We're serious." He's like, no, give me more.
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
I had to put it on.
No, Dad, I'm serious. No. Super spicy. Like it'll, and he's like, no, give me more.
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like that's this.
He made me put it on, and then he wasn't 100% comfortable with the violence. But he couldn't, because I was there. He's like,
committed.
He committed. And then,
like exactly when he's eating the spice and he's crying and it's like, no, this is fine.
And then I had to go to bed, and he's like, all right, well then I'll finish watching this other thing. I'm like, is this like a tasteful way of him to being like, I don't want to watch this anymore? Because like listeners know, we talked about this. Terrifier is not a nice movie. Like it's violent and gory, but it's mean-spirited.
And And also, I don't care what other people say. It's also misogynistic.
That's
like that's just, you know, they can deny it all they want, but
wait, no, wasn't your take that it wasn't misogynistic because people were?
I said that it was misogynistic because all the male victims, they all die in very simple ways, like they get stabbed or whatever. And the women. But then they'll saw a woman in half.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember we talked about, but can't remember what we.
But yeah, this one goes out to Dad at home.
Skill issue.
Yeah, so he had to turn it off.
Yeah.
So
he's like, I'm a man, I can take it. And then he's like, I can't let them know.
This is a bit uncomfy.
But that's all for me. Sorry for taking up so much time, boys. Right. James?
No, that's all right.
A few minutes, anything notable?
The Oscars, just aired last night in Australia, or yesterday in Australia. We don't really have to talk about them. I didn't watch the ceremony, but I will say from what I've seen online,
It was okay.
It looked like the ceremony wasn't as garbage as it has been the last few years.
No one got slapped.
And
Yeah.
all the power to Jonathan Glazer. We were talking before the show.
Yeah, Jonathan Glazer gave a great speech.
Which you can find online.
The winner of the best documentary, the 20 Days in Mariupol, gave a great speech about Ukraine. Yeah, a lot of, just kind of everyone who you'd think would win pretty much won. But also it was a very strong year where all the movies were good.
Yeah.
I say that to say that I saw pretty much all of the nominations in all the major categories. I just missed out on a couple that I'll catch up on eventually. But yeah, I think this is a really strong year. So, usually, you've got the 10 best pictures and it's like a couple of them shouldn't even be on there. And it's like a couple of them but this year, all of them were pretty good, if not great, if not excellent.
I hope Scorsese can bag one before he dies.
We got one for Departed, which wasn't even a good...
Say it properly.
Departed.
Departed.
Yeah, which
not a cop.
Have I talked about this before?
I know, yeah.
They only gave it to him because they didn't give it to him for Raging Bull and they didn't give it to him for Goodfellas. And so Departed came out and they're like, I guess we have to give it to him. And I'm like, that's not even... Hot take. It's not even a good movie. It's nowhere near one of his best movies.
No,
he didn't deserve an Oscar for it. And this is one of the many reasons we've talked before why the Oscars are stupid and doesn't make sense.
But they weren't stupid this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're still stupid, pitting movies against each other and saying this one's the best of the year.
But Christopher Nolan deserved to win. He deserves to win every
Oppenheimer
year.
was a very
Even if
good
he's
movie.
never made a movie for that year, he still deserves to win it.
Also, Jennifer Lame won for Oppenheimer for Best Editing, and I remember calling that out when we reviewed the movie. I'm like, the editing is incredible because that movie shouldn't work as well as it does, especially considering it's all over the place.
The
timelines and the this and the that. Yeah. Yeah, so I won't go through all the movies from the Oscars that I watched, but I just wanted to say it was a good year for these kind of movies.
Yeah. Also shout out to John Mulaney for his hilarious Oscar presentation.
Oh yeah.
Where he just recited the plot to Field of Dreams and then announced the winner.
Oh man, I'm disappointed I didn't see that.
Yeah, so people saying he should be the host because he makes funny jokes, whereas Jimmy Kimmel just like, aren't movies too long? Ha.
Yeah, well, that's why they get Jimmy Kimmel because he's like super safe and inoffensive.
It's going to be interesting to see how bad the Oscars is in the next couple of years when there's more crap movies coming out that they can vote for. Because obviously we had some issues with the writer's strike and.
Well, yeah, maybe you'll see what's next on that. Yeah. Oh, also, Skinamarink was snubbed. Didn't get nominated for anything. What an outrage!
I mean, do I blame them?
I'm joking.
Skinnamer stinks.
I'm joking. That would get nominated. The only other thing I guess I'll mention is Callum recently watched the 4K of Sleepy Hollow.
Yes, I did.
That is a nice disc.
I also had the
nice
4K, so I decided to watch it.
Such a fun film.
It's a great movie.
Tim Burton.
It's
apparently the Blu-ray was awful, so this is like the first time you're able to really watch it in like.
I never had the Blu-ray. I think I had the DVD. So I skipped the Blu-ray. Yeah, and I got the 4K. It does look fantastic, and it's a great looking movie. And it just, watching the movie again for the first time in a long time, I was like, man, Tim Burton used to be the best.
Yeah.
And this isn't even one of his best movies, and it's still a great movie. It's I'm just like, oh man, movies used to have production design, they actually built that forest, with all the dead trees, and the effects and and it was like it's weird and violent. And I'm like, they used to, and all the cast members are great and it's music, and I'm like, they used to make mainstream movies like this. And again, it wasn't even one of his best ones, and it's just such a fun movie.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I had to give 5 stars on Letterboxd because even though I don't think it's one of his best movies, like I'm just like, it's so much fun to watch. It's such a good movie. Yeah, Christopher Walken with
he doesn't need to say anything. He's just menacing.
He's got just like sharp teeth and bright, like evil blue eyes. And he's like, man, he's got an axe and a sword.
Good times. It's fun.
And Johnny, that era of Johnny Depp, 90s
Johnny
Depp, mwah. So good. He's so good.
I reckon that's all the time we got for tonight, everyone.
Yeah.
thanks for listening. Please like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page, Instagram page, Threads page, Twitter page, the Newsmask page, and the Blue Sky page.
Yeah.
And also like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube.
YouTube. Hopefully, we'll have more stuff up on there soon. Also, yeah, if you're nerds like us, check out the Kickstarter for the
yes, we'll put that on the socials.
Deathstalker new reboot movie.
You can catch what we've been watching on Letterboxd. I'm Nathan B_90.
I'm Channel Drifter, all one word.
And I'm Callum Tuesday, one word.
We'll be back next week with more movie discussions. Adios, cousins.